Thank you, Barbara and Terry. And now with the last batch of news on side 1, here are Charles and myself. 5 bikers have ridden off to the Spanish Sun in memory of a friend who had been looking forward to joining them before a tragic accident last month. The quintet are travelling in memory of popular Wilbarston resident Colin Harding, who was killed in a motorcycle accident on May the 29th. Mr. Harding organised the trip and was excitedly awaiting it before he was killed when his bike was in collision with a tractor in North Kilworth. Now friends Rory Parkinson, his dad David Parkinson, Nick Elsom, Kevin Merrill and George Ruthven are heading for the World Superbikes event in Aragon, all sporting T-shirts in memory of their good friend. Rory's wife Liz, 44, saw the riders off from outside the post office, which Mr. Harding ran with his wife Sharon last. She said, Colin was due to go away with my husband and the other 4. Every year they go away together, and they had done for the past 4 years. Every time I went into the shop, it was countdown time. We got the T-shirts made up as a tribute. At first my husband didn't want to go, but I said, you have got to go, because Colin would have wanted that. We all had a few tears, but you can't help that. He just had such a wicked sense of humour. Some people will go through life without ever meeting anyone like Colin. Mrs. Parkinson said riding was his big love. She said, I always say every man needs a shed, and that was his shed. That was his outlet from the stresses of life. Mr. Harding owned 4 motorcycles, including a Harley-Davidson. He had already started planning next year's trip to take in another weekend of motorcycle racing in Italy. His friends have all pledged to finish organising it. Mr. Harding was also heavily involved with the parish council, neighbourhood watch, street patrols and the village darts team.
Oh, right. Well, here we go with our next item then here. It's farmers have revealed they could lose half their yield this year after Northamptonshire was declared to be suffering a drought. The county has experienced its driest spring since 1910, and the Environment Agency, as well as the Department for Environmental, Food and Rural Affairs, has declared that the county is officially experiencing a drought. Members of the public are being urged to use water as effectively as possible, and farmers are worried the lack of rain could see them lose thousands of pounds worth of crops. Tim Hankins of Pear Farm in Oldwinkle owns a farm with cattle and arable land, and he said people are saying we could lose around 50% of our yield this year, which for me is about 200 tons of wheat, and that would mean me losing about £20,000. The drought means we have to be even more careful with the water than ever before. John Hilsden of Harrowden Farms grows oil rapeseed, wheat and protein beans. He said April and May were the main growing seasons, and this is when we saw the last rain. Yields will definitely be low this year, because the bad weather has also affected small food growers as well. Russian Allotment Society Secretary Julie Kinsella said, we have to spend money on getting new water taps. The ground is rock solid, and this is making growing fruit and vegetables extremely difficult. Despite the county experiencing a drought, Anglian Water has reassured homeowners that their supplies will not be affected. A spokesman for the water company said, the drought status is more for the farmers and just acts as a warning to homeowners that we should conserve water.
Animals in Need will hold its Midsummer Fair this Sunday. The animal charity has organised the event at its base at Pine Tree Farm in Little Urchester on Sunday, June the 26th, from midday to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There will be a stall from Lush Cosmetics, a tombola, a jewellery stall, a pet stall, refreshments, a cake stall, a book stall, and other attractions. Annette Marriott from the charity said, "All proceeds go to providing care and treatment for animals until they can go to a loving home of their own. Your support is greatly appreciated. Admission to the Midsummer Fair is £1.
Teenagers have been given a realistic look at what could happen to them if they turn to crime. Year 9 pupils at Huxlow Science College in Wellingborough worked with ex-prison officers, police, firefighters and magistrates during a day of activities called Prison Me No Way. During the event, a crashed car was brought to the school and students took on the roles of a drunk driver and injured and dying passengers at the scene and were then taken through police interviews and the court process. Assistant head teacher Jill Heathfield said, "We don't have problems with children at our school, but we wanted to show them what could happen to them if they take the wrong path." The students were praised by our visitors, and so many of the pupils have come up to me since to thank us for putting on the event. Other activities during the day included a fireman's workshop where pupils were taught about firearms workshop, where pupils were taught about the dangers of carrying knives and gun crime. Police officers also took the students through what happens when someone is arrested, and the pupils went inside the cell in a police officer's van. And now for something completely different. A new website page has been launched to raise awareness of a project from Wellingborough which is in with the chance of winning a £60,000 funding jackpot. The Wellingborough Volunteer Bureau Welly Planters Project could be crowned the winner of the Jubilee People's Millions contest, which is being held to mark the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. The project is in the final 6 of the Anglia region of the Big Lottery Funds competition and will be up against 5 other schemes from across the area when the public vote takes place on June the 27th. If the project wins, it will provide gardening support for older people and disabled members of the community who have difficulties tending to their own gardens. It also aims to bring different communities together.